Hello and welcome to Cinema of Blood. My name is John. So today we're going to be closing out the 1990s. I've got 5 horror movies here from the year 1999. Now this is of course part of the 50 years of horror movies series that I'm doing. So I'm going to be doing these all the way up to the year 2021. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about 1999. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is a Japanese horror film, or as it's called, J-horror, and this is Audition. And this is directed by Takashi Miike, and I'm going to try not to butcher any of the names here. The screenplay is by Daisuke Tengen. It is based on the novel by Ryo Murakami, and it stars Ryo Ishibashi and Ai Shinya. Like I said, I may be butchering these names. I apologize. Anyway, what this movie is about this guy that his wife has passed away. He's got a son. And the guy's pretty much just living this lonely life and everything. His son's like, "Dad, you need to get back out and start dating," which sounds kind of similar to what's going on in my life right now, although I don't have a son to tell me that. Anyways, so a friend of his tells him a good way to meet, or suggests him a way to meet girls is to hold a fake audition for like some non-existent movie or TV series. So he goes through it and he meets this girl. She's very willowy, very demure, and he's just like smitten with her. Alright, so you're watching this movie and you're thinking that this is going to be like some kind of romantic film, and then it does this shift in tone, and you discover that this girl is not all she appears to be. In fact, I am pretty sure that the term batshit crazy, it was created just for this woman. Let's put it this way. There's a scene in the movie where she is sitting in her house on the floor. The telephone is on the floor, and she is just watching this phone, waiting for this phone to ring. But what you notice though, not only is this, but there is a sack in the background. A sack. You're like, what the hell is in the sack? And I'm not spoiling this for you. If you have not seen Audition, you need to check out Audition. It's a mind screw of a movie, in my personal opinion. Alright, so there you go. That is Audition. So let's move on to the next movie. Alright, the next movie, oh man. I think this is one of those movies that is so polarizing. It's either you love it or you hate it. You think it was scary as hell, or you don't think it was scary as hell. And I am talking about the Blair Witch Project. Alright, so this is written, or well, I'm not even going to say written, because it's almost one of those movies where there's almost like there's no script. There's ideas. There's plot points. But it was directed by Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick. It stars Heather Donahue, Michael Williams, and Joshua Leonard. Alright, so what this movie is about is, God, this is one of those movies kind of hard to explain, because when it was first presented, it was presented as being a true account. Alright, so you have these 3 filmmakers. They go into the woods in Burkittsville, Maryland, and they are trying to find out more about the history, or more about the Blair Witch. Alright, and things start to happen. They get all turned around. They find all these cryptic symbols, stick figures. One of the members disappears, and then the whole thing says that they all disappeared and their footage was found. All right. Okay, so I'll say this much about the Blair Witch Project. It scared the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie about it. Because I have always believed that what you can't see is a whole lot scarier than what you can see. All right? I mean, if you can see something, you possibly, it may be scary, but you can figure out a way to fight it, to figure out a way to get away from it. But when you have something unseen that is pursuing you, yeah, that's kind of a different story. And that's a lot scarier to me. All right? So I know, like I said, a lot of people love this movie. A lot of people hated this movie. I loved it. I'm not going to lie about it. I love this movie. To me, it's a fantastic horror movie. But I do know that there are people that are very much hate this movie. They're very much against this movie. All right? I can understand that. And I respect that. Okay? All I ask is, just like anything, it's like, you know, if I like something, respect my judgment on liking it, and I will respect your judgment on disliking it. I don't really need to go on that anyway, because I know you guys are cool. All right, so there we go. Okay, next up, let's move on from that. Next up, and this one's a horror comedy, or is it comedy horror? I'm not really sure. And is there a difference? Is comedy horror different from horror comedy? I mean, are they kind of the same? I don't know. Anyway, shutting the hell up about that part, I am talking about Idle Hands. All right, so this is directed by Rodman Flender. It is written by Terry Hughes and Ron Milbauer. It stars several stars before they went on to do other things, kind of. It stars Devon Sawa before he did the Final Destination movies, Seth Green before he did Austin Powers, and Family Guy, the voice of Chris on Family Guy, and other stuff. Jessica Alba before she did whatever Jessica Alba did, you know. Even Eldon Henson, I think is his name, even before he was Foggy Nelson on the Daredevil Netflix series. Okay. Anyway, what it's about is this guy kid played by Devon Sawa, and he's a total slacker. He's the kind of kid that lives down in his parents' basement, plays video games all day in his robe and his socks, and that's pretty much it. All right. Well, his hand becomes possessed by a demon, and it starts doing some pretty gnarly things. And I mean, when I say gnarly, it starts killing people in some very gruesome ways. All right, so he's got to figure out a way to exorcise his hand, you know. And that's it. Yeah, like I said, you know, that whole thing. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Well, the devil uses his hand as a workshop. That's what he does. That's why I'm waving my hands all over the place, because it's got a life of its own. I'm not moving it. My hand's moving on its own. It is like, okay, there it goes. All right, stop that, you son of a bitch. Anyway, that is Idle Hands. I'm sorry about that. That was so stupid. Okay, next up we've got Sleepy Hollow. This is my favorite Tim Burton movie. I love this movie. I've watched this movie so many times. I absolutely love it. It is directed by Tim Burton. The screenplay is by Andrew Kevin Walker and Kevin Yeager. And if you don't know it, Andrew Kevin Walker is also the guy that wrote the screenplay for Seven. Yep, that movie. Awesome movie. Anyway, it is based, of course, on the story by Washington Irving. And it stars Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci, and Miranda Richardson. Okay, all right, so it is, of course, based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow. So it's got the same premise. You got the Headless Horseman, but this time you got Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane. But however, in this, Ichabod Crane is not a school teacher. He is like a police detective, and he is sent to the town of Sleepy Hollow to solve these beheadings, solve these murders. And that is when he encounters, and as in the book, he is quite the coward. It is when he encounters the Headless Horseman. Okay? All right. Now, one thing I loved about this movie, and of course there is Katrina Von Tassel, played by Christina Ricci. She is, as always, fantastic in this. And you got Miranda Richardson. She's great in this. But what I love the most about this is that the scenes with the Headless Horseman when he's headless are played by Ray Park. Of course, now he played Darth Maul in the Star Wars. Oh my gosh, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. There's been so many Star Wars movies. And when he is not headless, when it shows like his origin story, he is played by none other than Christopher Walken. I love it. I just freaking love that about this movie, is Christopher Walken as the headed horseman, so to speak. He's the Hessian is what he is. All right. Anyway, that is Sleepy Hollow. Awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, it's a great Halloween movie. I will just tell you that flat out. It's a fantastic Halloween movie. All right, moving on. Last but not least, we have got Stir of Echoes. And this is written and directed by David Cope. It is based on the novel by Richard Matheson. Stars Kevin Bacon, Ileana Douglas, and Kevin Dunn. So what it's about is Kevin Bacon is at this party, and I can't remember, I think it's his cousin or his sister-in-law or somebody, but she hypnotizes him. You know, and you're thinking, okay, he's like, yeah, well, what happened? Nothing happened or whatever. But then these strange things start to happen. He starts seeing these visions. He starts doing this. He starts feeling kind of compelled to do these weird things like dig in his yard and just dig and dig and dig. And what it basically is that he's kind of getting communication sort of from this girl who has been murdered. And she's trying to get him to help her figure out and catch her killer. Well, she knows who her killer is. He doesn't. So he's got to figure out who it is. The first time I saw this movie, I'm not going to lie, the first time I saw it, I was just like, okay, this is okay, this is not bad. But then I watched it again, and I started to like it more and more. You know, it's definitely one of Kevin Bacon's, I think it's one of Kevin Bacon's better movies, for sure. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor, he's an excellent actor. You know, but it's just, yeah, I mean, I love this. I mean, Kevin Bacon, I'll tell you right now, he's not afraid to take on any role. Because if you've ever seen The Woodsman, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay? Because of the character he plays in The Woodsman. I got curious and watched that movie one day, and I loved it. You know, just mainly for his performance, but also for such a great story. You know, and it's one of those things, there's going to be a lot of triggers on that movie. Just read the synopsis of the movie before you go in, so you do not go into it blind. All right. Anyway, but we're not talking about The Woodsman. We were talking about Stir of Echoes, and Stir of Echoes is a really good, creepy horror film. All right. So that is it. My cat is outside the door. He is meowing. I think he's reminding me it's time for me to get off this thing. So that's going to do it. That is 5 horror movies from the year 1999. All right. And next time we come back, it's going to be going into the 2000s. So until next time, take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.